So, as you could tell, I just got through running across the cornfields with my dogs to come over here on a Saturday and say hi to everybody. So I'll get better at this. We'll get higher quality in the editing room because I do all my own production too. Anyway, again, love you guys. Go say hi to somebody. Just wave at somebody. Start there. Just wave at some people. Younger people, older people. I did that backwards, didn't I? Younger people, older people. Just go out and say hi. Let's start. There was a hashtag that Barbie wants to get started. I'll have to look that up. I'll have to look through some of the old films. We need to be pulling together and discussing these items, and not be afraid to have a dinner. What do they call it? Table dinner, or around the dinner table. Politics is a device to keep this country moving forward. I know that all the people in the middle class want this country to keep moving forward. I also know that the politicians we have currently in place on both sides of the aisle, some way more than others, but we have a situation now where the politicians don't want us to necessarily move forward. They want, and our education and our information to be lower and lower so that they can control more. They have very perfect lives, really. And these are the things we don't understand. You know, we need to really be able to have the courage and have the patience to be looking at our politicians more directly, with more information. As I've said before, we have a utopia coming, and if we don't have control over our politicians, as that utopia comes, then we won't have that utopia. We will be moved into whatever needs that the country has, without the rewards. This middle class of America has been stronger and done more than my own. I know I'm biased, but than any other. As a matter of fact, all the middle classes, around the world, is what the economy is built on, and we have no say at how that money is spent. And isn't that the truth, folks? That is the absolute truth. And I'm Rodd Duff. I'm your host here at Insights and Straight Talk. We do basically a daily show. Some people are advising me to cut it back to like 4 days a week, but I'm gonna play with that a little bit because there's so much going on. There's so much that's out there. There's so many important things that need to be talked about. And I appreciate so many people getting on so quickly here. Turn on the chat. So doing some business here. I want to talk about, as we said in our introduction, several things. I want to get to the, let me see if I can pull this up. I'll do that later. I think, yeah, I'll pull this one up. Let's go to camera 4. If you look here, this is our weekly roundup. I'm going to start doing a Monday weekly roundup at this time because there's just so many things happen with the school regeneration program, which we'll get to in great detail shortly. Started sending some emails out to folks around town, school superintendent, and just chatting with people. I've been talking to teachers for a while, but we'll get to that. But, we're going to be talking about a weekly program, that involves the economy and business. As you guys know the show, we've done over 300 episodes. It kind of split up pretty good here between, economy and business, politics and current events, technology and AI updates. This coffee and tea time is part of that open mics series. That is about open AI discussions and automations. We do a lot in that. We're working really really in detail in that. Our class is about ready to kick off. Community and culture, the Emma and Emma Lynn and Grandpa Rodd, we do every Saturday. And then global headlines, what's happening in the world. And there's some really crazy stuff. And, I'd like to, if somebody wants to get into some of these discussions and how they feel about this conflict between Palestine and Israel. I mean, going back through, obviously, it's a difference in religion aspect. Basically, it boils straight down that line. You go into the Bible and it talks about Israel from the beginning, from all you guys know. I don't want to get into specifics at this point if you don't want to. I'm meeting my step targets. You want to get into some of those discussions. Let's challenge some things, because I'd like to hear more. Everybody's either absolutely one side or the other, and that may be the case. Maybe one side is just totally running a scam and playing off of that. But so my point is, let's get into some of these subjects on these Monday days, because it's kind of a wrap up of what's happened the previous week, and then kind of leaning in a little bit to what's coming up in the coming week, right? Kind of makes sense. So I love these topics, and give the show a little plug here. We don't just sip up headlines. We join the dialogue. Your voice belongs at the table. And then I put a bunch of SEO words in there and all that. But let's go back to camera one here. So the big thing that we want to really kind of spend a little time on today is where we are in the school regeneration program. There it is right there. So if there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, and you can see over here, there's all sorts of different aspects to where we're working different parts of this show, and these are different project names. Obviously, this is coffee and tea time. And so in here, we're talking about a couple of different things, but we really want to get into this regeneration school project, or we are actually getting into the project now. And we've been, like I said, talking to teachers for a while, both back in Chicago, where the idea kind of started just festering up. The history of this of the program. By the way, I invited a couple of people from Mangum school superintendent, a couple of people, just by email, just initial sending out this week. I'm going to talk to the schools. We'll get into the thing here, but it's really the program itself it's nothing more than teaching kids that fifth core concept that they need to learn in growing up. It's very basic. School's a lot more complicated than this. I get it, but I don't know if I have any of that part laid up here. Oh yeah, here's some of it right here. This is the email that went out. Different people than I have listed here, just because. But this weekly forum we're talking about here is a discussion where Emma Lynn and myself, Grandpa Rodd, every Saturday sit down with parents and teens. We sit down with them. There's a live audience. Now we're wanting to incorporate this program into a physical, let's call it a brick and mortar. So we'll have Emma in California, along with guests. We get 300, 400, 500 people on every show, every Saturday at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. So that's 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern, so on and so on. And in that show, we Emma and I discuss, just like we are now, with people in the live audience. Let me flip over here. Am I on 4? I'm still on 1. Okay. But let me flip over. And we do not have any questions yet. We got a lot of people here. It's good to see you all here. We're talking mainly It's open mic. So AI in politics. You want to talk about Palestine? You want to talk about Jerusalem? You want to talk about home? You want to talk about just the Doge? You want to talk about any events that you want to talk about? Let's chat. It's open. It's open. This isn't open mic Friday. This is open mic. Wrapping up for the week before events going on. I think there's a lot of settling down now on the political world. I'm starting to see us find our lane. You know, a plane comes in and it follows that path, and I think we're moving into a lane now, and maybe that things won't be so hectic and disturbing and frustrating, to be honest with you, because no matter, we've got to quit attacking ourselves from the inside out. We need to build the middle class from the inside out. This is a critical transition here. Lots been done in 100. What I don't know what it is, a couple months, whatever it is. Hey, Richard, glad you guys popping on here. Great insights today, Rod. Thank you for breaking it down so clearly. Yeah, this project that we're really diving into is really, I'd love your advice on this, the Regeneration School project. I'd love your advice on that, your insights on that, directions to go. We're like I said, I'm at this week. We're at a point of bringing the information we talk about, which I'll get into in a second again, to guys like Tracy Reese, superintendent of schools here in the Mangum, I think it's Greer County area, which has several school districts, obviously. But in this program, the Regeneration School Project, we are adding a fifth core. That's all we're doing, and it's filtering right into the lanes. You've got math, science, English, history, and then you've got electives too. But a core should also be this program where you're learning for life. Schools teach you, and I'm going to see if I can find this real quick. This is not the one I want to be at. Teens Have Life, 60 to 90 minutes, moderated discussion. Topics include mental health, school culture, fashion, identity, family, substances, influences, planning, and what does the future look like? And then having a civic voice. This isn't a feel-good program. This is a program that has, however, counselors that follow you along, and throughout your path in school, and through those interactions, consistent interactions, whether you're past you move or whatever that is all. And AI is calculating, tabulating, whatever the right words are, formulating. Your path as you're describing and having discussions and taking light little tests, that personality tests and so forth and so on. And at the same time, talking about building yourself from within. You've got, like I said, your skills, micro workshops, mentor lane, pairing interested students and trusted local mentors, businesses owners. Also, really, that might be later on. I would rather start within the counselors as a volunteer, pastors, people in the churches to start this off. It's 3 months. We start off 3 months. We're here. We start having the kids from the local area come in. Maybe we feed them some sandwiches. I don't know what we could do. But again, all the help that is much appreciated in advice. And so we have those civic leaders in the area, and that's where I'm starting to contact now. I want to get the buy-in of the school system, obviously, because that's where we're going to be going into. In the beginning, we have a proof of system now. We have over 500 people in an episode. I don't know. What do we got today right now? We have 232 in a really freaky window there. So let me get out of that. So when Emma and I are, that usually jumps up another 100 or so because there's additional kids and parents that are
that are communicating with each other, learning and how to communicate. Hey, I got this issue. My kid's doing this. She's trying to get through to me this, and I don't understand that, or something along those different lines. And as words come out, as conversations are had, walls start breaking down. You see it. Then you get these workshops that we're talking about here. You get into communications, interviewing, basic financial literacy, AI and digital safety, resume, portfolio building. You have 5 cores, and it should start when you're young and be accordingly so. You don't need to learn your genders. You need to learn how to survive and go through and get life skills. Let's lift up the entire middle class. Now, we're starting with the kids, but then we're picking up with their parents, wherever their parents are, because you've got students present insights to families and stakeholders, quick wins, next steps are recorded. Parents have like an after school or a community program. There's plenty of buildings around to have parents come in and get additional job training, get their life skills stuff. Maybe the kids and them come in at the same time for just that, like a little mentorship timing. I'm thinking maybe over the whole school time, a regular school class timing for the kids, and then maybe an additional hour or so for both of them. I don't know. I need help. Give me ideas, guys. School partnerships, identify a facility liaison, approved space and time. See, this is what we're building into now. We're in between 4 and then what we're asking now. So we're coming out of the very pilot outline. I think Emma and I have got a pretty good show, residents and Renaissance and lane that we're going. And it's really growing fairly and reasonably. Now that I think I've practiced this enough as far as what we're saying, I can start talking to people that are now making the decisions. All the parents and all the past guests that we have on here, as well as the teachers, which is a big deal, obviously. Let me go back to 1 here. Sorry. There's so much support for this, and it's easy support because it's about the kids, but it's not one of these failed kid programs, just say no and all these things that try and put band-aids on things. Where we need to go is straight to the very beginning, and we need to go to school right from the beginning. And right as kids are learning their kindergarten classes, there's a little sprinkling of whatever this looks like there. Then in first grade, same thing. The math starts to get to be something. You got some lettering and some more calculative things, a little bit more sprinkling in this core. How to what numbers look like. I don't know what you would teach at first grade or second grade and third grade and fourth. So that point on, you start getting pretty detailed on the financial side. One of the things that really got me fired up about this aspect of it, damn it, I'm going blank on her name. I just sent her an email about this. If you're listening, she's over in, I think, Australia. Indian lady, very, very, very pretty woman, started modeling and all this, but very intelligent. Started her kids homeschooling, and then started teaching them how to do their checkbook, and then started investing little things. And now her kids they're still young. I don't know exactly, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, somewhere in there, those ranges. And they actually run their own businesses, and they pay for all their own stuff. They pay for all their own school clothes. They pay for all you ought to see it. It's freaking amazing. We got to get her back on. If you're listening, your people call my people. I am my people. So call me, or I'll call you. And let's move on. Richard, that's a great note there. I appreciate that. Jeffrey, do you think Washington leaders are really listening to everyday people? No, they're not. Well, always they are not ever listening. And I don't know if they ever have, to be honest with you. I mean, the fundamentals break down, but past a couple of generations from the founding fathers, I think it just all became easy, and it just kind of, and then the Chicago, the Windy City, blowhards, carpetbaggers, those things are real. The 1800s kind of, it all changed. It went from being the people being the power to the politicians and the big money businesses, corporations. So now, with that said, and I've used this a billion times, and I am a Reagan fan. Towards the end, I found out some things that were a little disappointing, but he did a lot of great things, and I think, pretty sure, did some not so great things towards the end. With that said, the thing I'm referring to is trust but not verify. Yeah, just give him the full range. Trust but verify. Right now, what's happening, other than the screaming from the people who have always been screaming but now really don't have any voice, they are, aside from that, it seems like things are getting illegal people out of the country. I mean, look at the rest of the world now. Now that our country's spoken up, the rest of the world has said, you know what, we can't be taken over like this, because countries are countries. Countries are solid, and there's things about them that are different from other countries, which makes competition, which makes creativity, which makes the human species doing what it's supposed to do. Compete, not war, compete. And hey, I got this idea. I do it this way. I do it that way. I grew up going like this, but not if everybody was growing up the same way, that'd be horrible. Just like the same we talk about every day here on the show. As far as people here in the United States or whatever, it's not a straight path, and it never should be, because you add color to the layers. Now, think on a bigger scale. If we have one, the Islam, I don't know how that breaks down really, but I'm going to dive back into politics here. If it's, let's call it Islam is taking over, because all the refugees are from Islamic countries, basically. Yeah, South America and other places too, but it's kind of what's happening, right? And then Chinese, and there's a lot of weird stuff going on. It feels like a battle of a different type. We can't beat the United States any of these ways. We're just gonna softly, death of 1,000 razor blades. So back to right now, I think Trump's doing the right things everywhere around the world, and I think everybody believes that, except for the people who don't want Trump to be successful for only that reason. Well, hopefully there's no corrupt reasons. There's no beyond political reasons, which is bad enough. And from what I see, that's what it looks like. I am an independent. I do and have voted split tickets. It's the person, not the party. They give a crap whether you're red or blue. Your heart is blue and your blood is red, right? Or it's blue on the inside and red till it hits oxygen. So all that's all good. It's all the same thing. It's parts of the same thing. Why do we all live right here, but these guys take all the conversation? Because the news media. These are the problems we have today. And you and I both know this is all can be expanded upon, but that's what the problems are. So as we fight about all these other things, the stuff that needs to be fixed is, I like saying it this way. Our leaders throw little shiny objects. Hey, look over there. So we aren't really looking at what really needs to be fixed. The school system could be so easy to fix. No, the entire world population would be so easy to fix. The hard part about this battle, well, it's not a battle yet, but I assume it's going to be at some point. It has to be, but that'd be crazy. Just, yeah, come on. Yeah, there's, okay. Part of the city, let's go. I don't anticipate that, but it'd be crazy if it did. Hang on. So the problem is, think about what this does. Let's say not even 2 generations from now. Let's say one generation. Well, to take effect, let's say at least 2. Let's say 2 generations. Okay, so let's say my newest born grandchildren that are not yet going into school but are coming up. Well, actually, that's not true. Preschool stuff. It depends on the family what they're doing. That group, let's say this starts within the next couple of years. No, they're going to be missing the first couple of years. Here's the thing. Personalities are started and established, they say, basically by 5 years old. And that's a lot of, hey, my parents are these, amazing people who are all that I have as reference to what I'm all about, besides just my empty brain them coming up. Well, actually, it's not empty. That's not true, but we won't get into all that. That's a whole nother group of sciences and interesting topics. So I kind of got off on this thing here. Let's go back. But if we start here, and by the time, say, 2 decades go by, now those people are completely 100, 1,001 more X% prepared for going out in the world, and at the same time, their parents have started to learn some things. Now they're double the ages of not being in this, so there's some, let's call it 2 generations, okay, somewhere in there, and that utopia I always talk about, it becomes something easy because people are better as a baseline. I'm talking, and there's a neighbor of mine here, came over yesterday, and we were talking for a little bit. Her little kids were running around. My dogs were out in front. They were running around, and something had happened, and she said, hey, I want to come and explain this to you, but I didn't want to text. Do you mind if we just chat? So, yeah, sure, come on. And she told me about a story, and basically her 13-year-old, there's a lot of teen suicide. I feel really horrible about this because in my own life, 10, it's got to be 10, 15 years ago. Nah, maybe not that. Yeah, so a little bit less than 10 years ago, this was not approached to me, or however you want to say that. I'm like, how can you be freaking, that depressed when you're a teenager and you got all this going on, you're doing that, and I don't sense any of that. That seems a little bit of a cop out. And you know what? Looking back, whether it was or wasn't, and it wasn't, because if you look back, I could say, oh, okay, that connects to that, connects to that, connects to that. I get it. But here's the thing: 70% of of people, 70% of the human race, that's children and adults, 70% deal with some sort of mental illness. This has got to be something that needs to be taken care of, and this has got to be something that looks at. So, no, leaders aren't listening to us today, but trust but verify. I'm hoping this administration here, that's in power now, the Trump administration, and the people that are in that administration seem to be pretty straightforward that they're battling 2 battles. One, a series of untruths that they've been battling against for. Now, hear me out on this. If you don't agree with me, I get it. I'm just telling you what I see, and I listen to all the news, and I'm no expert. I'm just a dude, right? So I see them battling that on one front, and then I see them taking care of the business that they promised. What is it? However many people voted for that administration to come in and do what they said they were going to do. And so far, they're doing what they say they're going to do. And so people that voted for him and that administration are very frustrated because they're like, what are you guys pissed off about? The rest of the world loves what they're doing. I am seeing them doing what I voted for because he said he was going to do these things. And you guys are screaming about something totally different, that there's no actionable thing about this. You're just saying he's going to be a dictator. He's the king of all kings. He's setting this up. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Okay. Again, trust but verify. What that says is, I don't know what it says. I don't know a comparable to that because it just doesn't make sense in my own mind. I wasn't a fan of Hillary Clinton, who I thought was going to win. I wasn't a fan of Bill Clinton, but I loved Bill Clinton. But Bill Clinton was here during a perfect time, the dot-com era, man. He was just the right dude for the time to me. And Obama was pretty. He sucked, but he was pretty. And you know what? He gave everybody a right to say, hey, who the whole putting yourself in boxes stuff? We voted people in a couple of times. A black man in twice. A VP, these aren't stats to be held up. It's just stop it already, okay? Trust but verify. Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? I was never part of the stuff that everybody's upset about. This generation, I was on the tail end of it after it was. I don't know. I was born in the 60s, the 63. So I was born at a time where it's like, hey, yeah, fight for what's right. Problem is, you got to make sure it's right. So that's why I say, vote people in and vote people out, depending on what their capabilities are, what their strengths, or if their weaknesses, get them out. There's nothing wrong with that. This isn't about them. This isn't about a Democratic or a Republican Party. Yeah, Democratic or Republican Party. This is not a democracy. So California and New York, although they're changing a lot, we would have everything like they have it all across the country. And that wouldn't be a good thing. It doesn't seem to be going good. I mean, Chicago's just as bad. Everybody's fleeing these towns for a reason. And that's where dictatorships are. But they live in a free country that has a little tiny dictatorship inside of it. So they've run out of the dictatorship because there's nobody allowed to keep them from doing that. And they still scream from their, the Windy City. They still scream from their rooftops that look over there. So, hopefully this political stuff will just collapse. I see we need two parties, but right now we only have one that makes any sense to me. Again, and I say that because every time somebody challenges somebody, well, why do you like Trump? They can tell you he did this. The other person says, why don't you like Trump? And they say this. Well, he's a fascist. He's a no. What specifically did he do that has held you back or done something? Oh, well, he's just a bad man. On and on, back and forth like that. I haven't really heard anything. Now there may be some things and some disagreements in different political, different ways things are going, but I don't see anything like I didn't go in the streets, screaming about Joe Biden. There were a number of times I did laugh at some of the video stuff that it was on. And honestly, I was a bit embarrassed because I could feel the rest of the world not thinking we were who we are. What do you think Trump's being so overly bold? What do you think he changed it to the War Department for? The name, because the rest of the world needs to know, hey, look, guys, chill out. We know what's going on. We're leading the world. We always have. Well, not always, but since we have. We haven't not stopped leading the world. Sometimes effectively, sometimes not so much. And that's where we're at in our talks these days. So let's get back to here. Yes, I am the founder of the School Regeneration Project, or the Regeneration School Project. It's a little softer put that way. Did I already do this? No. The AI updates are fascinating. Do you think jobs will shift faster than we? Yes, I do. They're already shifting. I think the school system is going to shift. I think there's a lot of jobs that are going to shift from AI. I was listening to some people talk about this, and it makes a lot of sense because you can really, with AI, you can, especially in teaching, you can really guide. And that's where this program really helps out. It folds right into it. And it's going to be needed, this program, because of AI. The world's shifting so fast. We have to be, our next generations can't be brought up the way they were brought up. Most recently, they were brought up negative. We went backwards. What are we, like 40th in the world in education level or something like that? 40th in the world. We pay like 4 times what anybody else in the world does. I mean, we're number one payer and 40th in the world. It may be worse than that. I don't know for sure, but that was the last stat I heard. Correct me again if I'm wrong. That's what we're here to do, is talk about these things. So yeah, I think the job's going to shift a lot. I think it's going to shift faster than we believe. I think it's shifting already. Well, I know it's shifting already. And there's positives and negatives. We can get into those subjects. So yeah, the answer to your question, Rick, is yes, absolutely, it's shifting. Ronaldo, hey, how you doing, my girl? How you been? I haven't talked to you in a while. Boomer, come on, scare the crap out of me. All of a sudden, I felt this thing nudging me. Hey, Boomer, go. Good to see you here. Jump in. Let's talk. Richard, how do you see AI reshaping the middle class job market? 2025. You got to remember, dude. 2025. What is it now? It's September, right? September, October, November, December, January. You know, we're basically more than 6 months through 2025. I appreciate the question. Boomer, get out. That's why I don't want him in here. Out, guys, go. Go. The rest of the house is fine, but there's too much. They're big dogs. So 2026. Open the job market. Let me see. I think this, honestly, I'm gonna keep jumping on with this school regeneration school project. You know, it's there's going to be job market shifts, and to a degree, the colleges are supposed to handle that. You know, as far as, but this is dramatic, folks. I don't think we really grasp how, you know, there was the Industrial Revolution, right? That developed over a number of years, and people, you know, this great act and that great act, people building, and we were able to move into these different revolutions. Even the internet, which is probably the biggest revolution of all time, much less the phone, you know, each one of those came along, and they came along over time. That's not going to happen this slowly in this case. AI is going to come sweeping like it could be a plague, or it could be just this amazing, beautiful. Well, it is this. It's both. I have regular, and I've got a bunch of people. I got to check the calendar after I'm done here, but I've got a lot of people more wanting to come on and talk about AI as well. And it's because there's so many different aspects. There's, you know, is it good? Is it bad? What's the good things? What could happen bad? You know, a lot of security I talked to. We were talking the other day to my buddy, and I asked him, I said, so when we do cyber protection in the future, Kelvin, should we use automation to help that secure? And it's a trick pony, supposedly. And I don't know if that's the right word again, but you know, it could be, it could not be. It's automation would definitely help. But then again, if you do something a little wrong in the automation, it could maybe even hurt, or, you know, other things. It's just so much changing, so many directions and avenues and things going on. But I can tell you this: McDonald's isn't going to be the same McDonald's in 10 years. I don't think there'll be a person working at the McDonald's. We think I keep screaming about, look it, guys, we need this utopia that's coming to be in our favor, because either we're going to be like Soylent Green or we're going to be like the Jetsons. And we want to know what's going on. We want to be better people so we can know what's going on and be more qualified to receive these things, because we know how to receive them and we communicate. We're together and we're in mass and we have word and we have girth and we have power because of that. So keep it up, man. Let's keep this conversation going, because questions like what Richard here says, and I think it was Rick, see, I mean, these are people that have already established ourselves in a job market. These aren't people that are, by the way, thank you. I forgot to say thank you 3 or 4 times, Richard. We're not, these are not people that are, 32 years old and already working into the new way of style of society. These are people that have gotten into their societies, have built families, careers, businesses, whatever. And now there's still time for their future, the work. I'm not done work. I can't not work. It'd be great, but no, I can't. Well, I don't know if it'd be great, but I'd like to have that option. But no, I can't not work. Yeah, we've got some challenges here. We better really take some serious. I mean, it's worth an hour or 2 every week. It can be fun, but we got to do something here. What does Kenneth got to say here? Let me go to Kenneth. I think I got everybody up to that so far. Reshaping, AI reshaping the middle class job. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Let me say it again. 100% it's going to reshape the job market. Maybe not 2025, 2026, 2027. That's only a couple of years, guys. I'm 63. So I'm old. But I mean, like, Kenneth here is probably in his 50s. Richard's here probably in his 40s or 50s. I don't know. There's still good stuff going on. Stay, guys. So, Kenneth, what's the biggest challenge for families facing inflation right now? Paying bills. I just did a show on this 2 weeks ago. Well, part of the show, Kenneth, was, remember the lady that owns 5 companies and she came off the street? She grew up in a low middle income to low income family, and then young she got married, and then she got taken away, and then she. Long story short, her family was awesome. Nobody saw this, and her husband was, addictive, a very bad fellow, and they ended up on the street. She ended up on the street and had to fight her way back, and on and on and on. It all went great, but part of that was self-education, education for her kids now at home, and then, well, actually, I think she still only has the one kid. He now runs his own business. She's self-educated, and she and I talked about this right towards the last like 13, 15 minutes of the episode, because she says this. She says, I can't believe it. People are borrowing money, getting credit cards just to pay their bills. And that's unsustainable. I know the feeling. I've been battling this battle for 3 or 5 years now. And it's very, very, the great middle class, this is a special place. And most of the middle class America lives basically, I said check to check. She said, are you kidding me? It's not even check to check. Most people get divorced. 70% of people now get divorced. 70% of people have a mental illness, are dealing with a mental illness, whether that just be flat out depression. Have you ever not wanted to get out of bed, or didn't, or couldn't get out of bed? I haven't. I've been there. And beyond, worse, thinking of suicide, much less the attempt. And I see it now. I didn't used to see it, but it's not like it hasn't been around. Look at all the people on the spectrum now. What is going on, people? Man, come on, damn. We got to really. This has got to blow up. I mean, literally blow up. Yeah, we thank you all, by the way. There's 230 people here. Awesome. But this has got to blow up, man. Not us, but this whole thing's got to blow up. And we got to quit saying, well, I want Chuck Schumer to do this, or Nancy Pelosi needs to go to jail, or Trump's a tyrant, and let's have a No King's Day, and on and on, back and forth about this bullshit. Why can't we just say bullshit, and everybody starts saying, hey, look, what about this? What about this? What about this? When are we going to do something about this? Inflation is killing people day in and day out. Slow deaths by 1,000 razor blade cuts, right? Oh, it's an old Chinese proverb, if any of you ever heard of it. And I think the most challenging, well, just happy. I mean, you know what? Even before we get to their most challenging, it's a great question, Kenneth. I'm going to expand on it. I'm going to hover over it a little bit and highlight that. Well, let's hover on this for a second. I'm going to hover on this for a second and say that, it's beyond that. The most challenging thing is just keeping a roof over your head. Being able to do any enjoyable things, to have to budget that to such an nth degree, and then to not be able to have the ability to buy a house or deal with the costs of those things. Those are still there. They are coming down quite a bit. And the cost of, and actually inflation has dropped. So, some of these things are really starting to become more of a relief. But God, Kenneth, let's say it's a relief. There should be nobody under the poverty line that lives who is and I'm sorry, but who is a citizen of the United States. No, I'm not sorry, but I'm going to say I'm sorry, just to make a runway to say that is the citizen of the United States. And you know what? At some point, our founders did it early. Nobody else did. Our founders are freaking awesome, even though they weren't all great men, I guess. I understand. From the history books, they weren't perfect. Some of them owned slaves. A lot of people own slaves. I mean, come on, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not a black person, so I get it. But okay, sorry. So this country is special. And if you're born here, damn, man, God's got your back. Yes, we're still the richest country in the nation. But with that said, it's unexcusable for anybody in this nation to be under the poverty line. Nobody. You know why? Because the entire average income in Tennessee is something like $36,000 maybe. I might be inverting these two. And the houses, I don't think it's annual. Yes, boy, that'd be extreme if it was annual. But I think their furniture budget is $38,000 a year, or $38,000, whatever that is. I got to look back in my book because it's in my book, which I haven't looked at in over a year because of this show. We'll get on that someday. We will get back to the book, by the way. I can't wait to do that. It's done. I just got to actually now I'm rewriting the education chapter. So yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. So inflation I think is coming down, but there should be no challenge for families. Utopia is a real thing, guys. I mean, it really is. I like the way Trump in his first term used the term the swamp a lot. And, it drew a lot of ire and it got a lot of talk about it, on and on and on. But you know what? It shined a light on the subject. And I want to shine a light on the subject that there's a utopia coming and there's an AI coming. And the AI is just moving the utopia faster. Either we're going to be in on it or we're going to be ridden by the politicians to make their utopia better. And that's going to be up to us. And we better get our act together and get moving along. Thank you, Kenneth. Jeffrey, do you think Washington leaders are really listening to everyday people? Somebody else just I think this is the same. To answer your question, no, they're not. No, this one. No. What? Oh, did I go backwards here, Jeffrey? No, they're not listening to everyday people. But I'll go back to what I said before. I know I spoke on this. Oh yeah, I love this next question. So no, they haven't been, and they haven't been for a long time. But I will say this current generation, I think, if you look at what they're doing, and you look at it across the news, and you listen to people on both sides, come on, please, because we're in the middle, and we're being directed by the extremists. Although I think only half of us right now are being directed by the extremists. I'm sorry, I got to call it spade a spade. I got to call it out. You know what? Tell me if I'm wrong, man. Please, let's have a civil discourse. Come on, what's going on, man? Everybody's going, yeah, but nobody's doing anything about it. They're staying on their sides. And I get why. We'll get into it. Do you think Washington leaders really listen to everyday people? No, but the current administration, I think trust but verify is a very applicable term, the old Reagan term that was made famous. And right now I'm just checking and verifying, but it seems like everything, there's mud slung all over the place. So if there's anything going on, seriously going on, besides he's a dictator, we'd be hearing it. I would think. Ms. Bowman, what role do you see education playing in the next generation's success? Depends on how the school system operates. I'm encouraged that two things are happening at the same time. Doge and the school system. The National School Board is, the way that our school system operates now is constitutionally illegal. It's a different subject. The way it's going to play, the way it has been playing a role has been negative influence into the growth of our kids. I think that, and currently you add on top of that, let's see if I can see if it's, I think it was right there. All sessions moderated with current standards. I had put somewhere in here, I think it's further up. I had put somewhere in here that I had put somewhere in there that the program that we're introducing is 3 months where we are in downtown Mangum at some place we set up, or maybe they work with us for something, or however we can do it. Set up a little mini studio. People come in, they talk to Emma as well as the live audience like you have here, and maybe they eat a sandwich. Maybe their parents are in the other room watching them. And this is actually it's a worldwide audience. A lot of Canadians, a lot of Americans, and then Swedes, and there's UK. There's some Vietnam or something. There's a little Southeast Asia country that it has a little pocket in there. I told you Switzerland, Germany, and Canada's got quite a few. But these questions come in from parents about their children and from children about, hey, how do I handle this? And some feedback. Hey, your voice is listened to. Your opinion matters. It may or may not be right, but learning session for either that needs it because it's being discussed. It's a safe place. All right, let's move on. I'm going to go back to the regeneration school project, because if there's 5 core competencies, in other words, not only the math, sciences, and so forth, but then preparing kids for life, including finance, including building themselves from within, finding their voice, finding their direction by interest in life. That's how work should change, because you'd be amazed at how much more productivity will be coming out if everybody is led to the job that they have the most fun at and are able to call it a job and get paid for it. That's not impossible. What's making it more difficult is that people don't know. They don't even think about that being an option. That's why we need that fifth core subject. What was her name again? Yeah, Jeffrey. Thank you very much. John, do you think technology is moving faster than policymakers can handle? No, I don't think so. I mean, there's going to be like in the web, the internet. There was catches. Things happened like when there were international. Now they're going to be better prepared for this. So I don't think really at all. I think they're way ahead of it. First of all, what you see is like in the military is nothing. They're generations further advanced than we see. So trust me, policymakers are way ahead. What we need to do is get caught up. We need to get the understanding and the smarts coming up. So yeah, John, I don't think policymakers at all. Now, who we vote in may make a difference in that. But as far as further down the line, because the guys coming in, women coming in, remember, there's all sorts of governmental things going on. And another show for another day. We got a lot of shows for another day, don't we? There's so much to talk about, folks. So no, that's the least of our worries at this point. I'd be one to say. Jeffrey again. How can people stay informed without getting overwhelmed by news? Don't overwhelm yourself. I mean, just listen. You can ask questions. You can then come on here, Jeffrey, and ask questions, and have back and forth, because when you're listening to the news, all you're going to get is their side. So I listen. There's different shows that are a little more extreme, that are a little harder to listen to. When you hear them and you go, and it just you don't understand why they're there. So I don't think it's hard to not be overwhelmed. I mean, I just listen to it. You make your own observations, and then you chat with people that you like, or that like you, or that are willing, that won't get in a fight with you as you chat, because you're in an insights and straight talk kind of forum. You're in what I like to call a what was that term again now? Watch party. Still want to get that going. I heard that was already a thing a while ago, but still a good thing. I'm going to keep it. Watch party. All right. Did we get her? It's her. Did we get Jeffrey? About getting over? Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I mean, it depends on your personality too. If things kind of get you overthinking things, which I'm a very bad habit of that, and I'm sure a lot of people are too. By the way, we have all streams running today. We have we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we have YouTube, we have X, and we have Instagram. All 5 going out at the same time, the streams. So yeah, I love you guys being here, man. We got to keep supporting us. Let us know, give us advice, put things in, take things out, and let's really work on this. I mean, seriously, I talk about this all the time, and we're growing, and that's awesome. But you know what? Let's. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've sent my email to Travis Reese, Superintendent of Schools here in Greer County. Put this in there. I said, look, I came here because of several reasons. The main one, priority, the main decision I made to move here was because I wanted to be in the great middle. Right here in the middle, man. This is a small enough town. Now, it's a small town, 2,300 people, and actually it's going through not so great times. So they'd probably be open to listening to things. Then it's the seat of the county, meaning it can't go away. So it's also got with that a little bit of political party. So here's my thing, folks, everybody. I was talking about bulk and girth. The reason being is because that's where power comes from. Otherwise, you're in a special interest and you're paying for the power. We have sweat equity, okay? Well, it should be like in everything we do because we don't have the financial strength that some others do. But you know what? We got strength, sweat equity. There's enough of us sweating, creating that equity. It's like a freaking river running them over, man. I'm telling you, we need to get together, and it's going to get worse before it gets better unless we all just get on board, man. I see all these social media things where, beautiful black couple or whatever, or hey, you a white person? Hey, white people, we want to let you know we want to be friends. Well, we all know this. I mean, there may be a slim little minority, so to speak, that on both sides that are racist, both of them. But outside of that, I mean, God, my neighbors are a whole mix of backgrounds and worlds, and that's in every neighborhood you go to. By the way, basically, it's structured. If you're in the great middle class, you're in the great middle class. You have the same issues, concerns, wonders, hopes, dreams, all the things that your neighbor does. The people that are in the great middle class. You're a different religion, yeah, okay. Nothing different. If you have those same hopes and dreams, if you want your kids to prosper and you want to prosper, and you don't want to have anybody below the poverty line. You don't want yourself to be below the poverty line. Dude, we have all the same stuff going on. We have all the same, that's what makes us, all of us. But we need to be together. And we got to quit this now, man. Pass this thing around, would you? Let's go. Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Rick, what's the biggest misconception about inflation people should know? Interesting question. The thing about inflation is your money does not allow you to have this, to obtain the same needs or desires, or both, that it did before, because it's raising the prices of goods and services. The biggest misconception, I think the biggest misconception is that it's not more manageable by our governmental agencies. That's that word, man. That word popped up when you now have agency. Forever, for like a year, I kept hearing that word and I didn't know what it meant. And I never was in a position to ask somebody what it was. I could have just Googled it, I did, but by the time I got to that, I forgot about it. So they are put into government positions. They're voted in by us to do our bidding. I think the better team you have in anything, you're going to get better results. And that's true for anything. And I'm learning, I've learned late in life that trying to get cheap employees only gets you terrible work, or not as good a work, not as near as good as you. That would be worth the money to spend. It's a different person that is able to generate. And that's because we're all starting with different tool buckets. I'll go back to Kelvin, the IT guy. Not IT, sorry. His wife is IT, and he killed me for that. Cybersecurity. He talked about, he grew up in the hood. He grew up in, projects. And so he grew up and he had a certain amount of tools in his basket. Not all of them were good. He learned how to get out of a gunfight. That's one you hope you never have to use ever more than once, if you ever even use it close to once. But he had this set of tools, some good, some bad. He also learned how to be more resilient because he didn't have as much growing up. So he had to fight for more. So he became more independent. He became more curious. Well, if that happens to them that way, and they did that, how do I repeat that? And he became much more analytic. And it's like I like to say, he started to look for the colors between the layers. That's what happens to you when you're curious. All right, guys. That's misconception that it's not. I believe outside of extreme situations, inflation is ridiculous. I think inflation is what we want to pay for when we don't have the money to pay for it as a government. And I think the biggest misconception of that is that I believe that's a legislative item. Here on Insights and Straight Talk, and especially your host, Rodd Duff, of course, that's I'm going to put my stamp on that. Remember, challenge me on it because I'm out. Right. I'm not out yet. Challenging me on it all the time, please, because only right now.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.